Carl and Louis here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for short. And you know what time it is? It is, of course, the second of the Rec 10 Things. We're doing 10 things we hate about the Rec movie series, 1 to 4. Go check out our in-depth movie reviews if you want to see how much we appreciate this series. And, of course, check out the love video to see that the positivity is stronger than the negativity in this, you know?
Definitely.
Some were easy to come up with.
Yeah.
It actually did turn into a little bit of a trouble at the end.
Yeah,
but
same with me.
Yeah, it is, because overall it's a very strong series. No bad films. Good to great stuff.
Yeah.
Overall. I start the love, you can start the hate.
Okay. I felt some elements were jammed in when there's enough going on in the film. Mm-hmm. So I feel like sometimes like the religious element and the infection, like I feel like you kind of trying to put too many new ideas in certain points of the film, which is sometimes a bit complicated.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of double up. Overcomplicating the story. And for me, the possession angle and religious stuff is a bit of a miss. And it's something they would actually kind of drop almost to a degree in the fourth film, as they then turn it into a parasitic style creature more than anything else. But in an attempt to freshen up a zombie genre, they came up in the second film with this idea that it was a possession angle based off this original carrier. And she was able to possess them and they became zombies and stuff like that from that. And it's weird, right? Here's the thing. I don't love it, but I need it because of number 3. There's the problem.
Yeah, it's
number 3 uses it so well. The problem is there's number 2. Yeah. It's so heavy on it. Yeah. And you're like, oh, okay, it's not just zombies. But then it's like that angle is very important to the offense of number 3, and it works really well there. And number 4, like I said, would almost abandon it in replacement for this parasitic creature. And still like, oh no, this parasitic creature is the possession angle, which is again like, what?
Yeah.
Wait, what's going on now? Yeah, but like the fact that they were like, okay, we don't just want this to be traditional zombies, even though they are, you know, is a bit like, oh, okay, all right, yeah. So I've got it as well. It gets overtly complex.
So then, we doubled up, didn't we, on that one? The third film, there's a couple of bits that kind of did seem kind of be a little bit cheesy.
Really?
I found a little bit cheesy with the chainsaw when she kind of gets tooled up with the chainsaw. I found it a little bit more of like a zombie killing montage-y kind of part.
Okay.
Just slight vibes of it. So you don't agree with me on that one?
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
But, you know, we'll roll it into my next one, which is diminishing results. The second movie and the fourth particularly don't hit the highs of the first. But also, I can understand to some degree, and I guess you kind of just touched about it, I can understand to some degree why some people do not like the third. Yeah. If you like the first Rec film and then you watch Rec 3, you might dislike the fact that it's a lot glossier, that it's got this kind of action movie sequences at times and stuff. I completely understand why you might not like it. I will say you're wrong. I will say you're wrong. But I can understand where elements people probably don't enjoy. You know, the part I often hear people say is they don't like the fact that it dropped found footage. And that to me is insane. That to me is insane. Weird. But then maybe it's because I've seen too many found footage movies and I'm such a downer on the start. Perhaps you haven't watched as many as I have. You may be more positive on it. That's my cross to bear. That's my fault, you know, in a sense like that. So for me, abandoning found footage for realism, I was like, please give me more. And the end result was so positive that I couldn't fault it. But I can take my head for a shit, step back and go, I get it. I get it. And like I said, diminishing results, the fourth one, I think is probably the lead. 2 and 4, I can sit. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, diminishing results.
The third. Yep. Just mentioning quarantine on a boat in Rec 4. Okay. I thought it was a really stupid idea.
Yeah, you have this thing about this. Well, I massively disagree with you on this one.
If you've got infectious material, like a lot of, especially because it's parasitic. So if you've got a parasite gets into the water. You kind of, that's going to be a problem. I don't see it that way. I really don't. We've argued over this. I don't see it that way. I think it's really, really safe and clever. Would you want infected corpses into the water supply? It's not the water supply, it's the sea. The sea does flow into stuff. Yeah, but did we? It's not like they're moored next to a goddamn, plant and stuff like that. Like a quarantine. Let's not argue about it. It's your choice. Oil rig's probably better because you've got less likely to like. Yeah. Oh, they can just jump. Or, but if they're infected, they can jump off into the water anyway. It's not like an oil rig is like a prison. It's easier for a boat to sink than an oil rig. But if a boat sinks, zombies are in the water. Yeah, but you're implying that they would survive and they would live and they wouldn't sink to the bottom or be devoured by creatures and they would see. Creatures that we would then eat. Oh my god, this is we're not going to agree on this one at all. Absolutely not. Okay.
Sticking with the second film specifically, but throwing in the fourth to a degree as well, and it kind of ties into the complication, but it's characters having to explain stuff over and over again because of how complex it got. Whether it be number 2 banging on about the possession angle and talking about the woman, the original Medeiros and the woman and stuff like that. To number 4 is parasitic over the top and why is Angela not infected and constantly talking. You lost that energy. It lost that energy. Instead, where number 1 constantly felt like it was fast moving. The same with the third. And characters weren't... The problem is it drops the whole, these characters don't know what's going on, and replaces it, number 2 and 4, with characters that know exactly what's going on. Yeah. Or have some idea, so they feel the need to constantly explain those aspects. Yeah. That's a problem.
Yeah. I agree with you on that one. I kind of put... going back to Rec 4, the half-assed sort of teaser ending of like the fish swallowing the parasite.
See, again, this is... Go watch her in depth for more of this. We disagree on this. You think that's some sort of hint towards something else. I think it was drawing the line underneath it. You're acting like this parasite will live after that. It's eaten by a fish.
It was called Rec 4 Apocalypse.
Yes.
And it looked like... So I feel like there's a food chain. If you had ate a parasitic fish, you would get sick.
You're acting like this thing wasn't chewed up, digested, and all the things that happen.
Yeah, but it's parasitic, so it's going to have like stuff in its blood. I feel like it's called Rec 4 Apocalypse, so that's where it come from. Okay.
Right, well, the dispute I've got to say in this one again is this. When we see the parasite entering others, it's about the mouth being forced open. It is not going into your stomach. It's not going into your stomach acid. It's not being eaten. It's not being chewed up. It's not being digested.
Mutations.
It's not.
I feel like it was like a nod to something more.
Do you agree with me? To me, it was the end, ending it, and that was its ending to show the parasite had been destroyed, eaten. You think it implies it would carry on, that we would get zombified fish?
No, I think it would go up the food chain or it would mutate and it.
Food chain. That fish has to be caught. That's the case.
So
the parasite lives inside it.
Would eat that fish. I'm definitely right on this one.
No, you're not. Let us know in the comments who you agree with. Absolutely crazy. But, we'll tie into mine, which is the sentient slug idea, full stop. So we went from possession to religious aspects and all that to hit number 4 and then go, nah, sentient slug. What? What? How? Why? Where?
Yeah,
what?
All these questions now.
Yeah, like you've opened up a whole bag of, pun not intended, worms.
Yeah.
Whole can of worms, not bag. Could be a bag.
Could be a bag of worms.
Yeah, bag of worms, but can of worms is bag of worms. Yeah, for me, I didn't like the sentient slug thing because we had reached that point where the whole religious aspect had been explained, and you'd bought into it, and then they're like, nah, actually, it's a parasitic slug that causes all of that. Yeah. Wait, what? Yeah.
I've gone back to Rec 2, so keeping on Rec 2. Kids getting into the apartment.
Yep.
Just didn't like that angle of, just a police officer would be like, yeah, just come in with me. Didn't like that.
Well, that's not what happened.
It is, yeah.
That's not what happened.
Oh no, sorry, like them following the police and stuff.
Yeah,
like
following the firemen.
Following the firemen. No, it's a police officer.
No, it's a fireman. It's a fireman and the man who wanted to get in with the medicine. The fireman wants to get into the building to check on his friends because he's not heard anything. Yeah. And him with the guy who has the medicine for his daughter find a way to go in via the sewers and are followed by...
I find it...
I don't even know. Yeah. I mean...
the angle of teenagers getting in... There's a...
Sketchy as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, they were old. They weren't young. They were fairly old teenagers, I thought. And I would think if you saw something like that, you wouldn't want to get involved. I don't know. It's
hard to know because, I mean, there's an argument that didn't... there's an argument for, like, they're just exploring. They want to get some things on camera and stuff like that. But I agree to agree. The second film, easily my least favourite, as it relies on several things that I don't like. Conveniences is a big problem, and introduces characters, the ones you just mentioned, that are just there to die. Yeah. They're just there for we've got a reason for another camera to suddenly appear.
Oh yeah, the switch.
And to get that lengthy talky scene, which I referenced before, where the guy's possessed and then proceeds to reveal every part of the story going forward. It's not good, it's not clever, they're not likeable, they're not interesting, and they're just there to die. But the conveniences of all of that, and the conveniences of having, there's a sewer way in as well. Okay, cool, right, all right then. Yeah, it's my least favourite of the bunch. Yeah.
I found that sometimes the actors all talking really fast is a little overwhelming.
Of course, absolutely. The Spanish language is crazy.
Yeah, as an English speaker, I dabbled briefly. I did GCSE and A-level Spanish, and the speaking exams were like insane. It was like, listen to this sample, answer 10 questions, and it's just really full on language.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you're trying to just kind of follow a bit more. They're good actors, but obviously the natural language of Spanish is like, which again, obviously that's when I made the remakes. I wanted to like.
I agree with what you're saying, but there is also a level of positivity to it, as the speed of how that language is delivered adds a certain level of frenzy to scenes. But I do get what you're saying. You know, I can't read and watch at the same time. But kind of tying into that a little bit, and it's one that I get again. It's more about what people think, and I understand, which is losing the realism factor after the first film. It stops feeling as real.
Yeah.
Number one feels very real. I think it's very, very good for doing that. Number two is where you start to lose that aspect. We've already touched upon some of the things that dropped that. Number three, obviously, I think starts very realistic, but of course, completely lose that realism factor. Just becomes a movie. And number four is that box ticking to the degree.
Yeah.
I think if you want a realistic found footage horror movie in the Rec series, just stick with number one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've gone for. So it's not really negative in a true sense. So I want more Rec films. It's just irritating. It's not inspired more films like it, and less dross that we still get in the found footage type of film.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think that what they've kind of the aspects, people not talk cherry picked aspects that are really good.
Nobody ever does. Nobody ever learns. Yeah. They just see what was popular and tries to cash in it. You know, found footage has been going for so long now, and you still find movies released now doing the exact same shit that was done in 1999.
Yeah.
You know, that's a different rant. The fourth film overall, this is Apocalypse Rec 4. I think it's lazy. And I think it's rushed. I don't think it's a terrible movie. Of course it is. At the start, I think it's a good movie. I think it's got some great stuff going on there. And I personally like the setting as something brand new, fresh, and quite confined.
Yeah.
Adds a new level of terror. I also think it's got a really strong ending. But it does feel rushed. Yeah. A lot of things come quickly. We introduce a monkey carrier, which is just set out of nowhere. And it kind of screams to me, you didn't really want to make this movie. But for whatever reason you did, and you were like, let's just end this story. And that's very much what it feels like, an ending story. Yeah.
We've doubled up on the rest of our ones. So I kind of ended on, I want more Rec, really. That's a hate, really. Is you want more of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we kind of briefly touched on it, but if you're a found footage purist, Rec 3 switching to normal camera. So I personally liked it. I can see why people would be a bit like, oh, no, it's not found footage, but by that point I was so invested in the story I'd kind of forgotten about it.
Yeah.
So it's not the thing I go, oh no, switch. I'm like, oh, I'm just carried on watching the story because I was so invested in it, which is kind of a bit of both really. Kind of like, oh, it's not the true found footage movie anymore, but I really enjoyed the story. So.
Well, I've got that as well, but I've got it actually where my hate is about the people who complain about that.
Oh, okay.
So let's explain how it changes. After the zombie apocalypse has occurred inside the building, Koldo and a group, including his cousin who has been filming, end up in the kitchen. They barricade the door. Koldo turns around and basically says, why are you still filming? The cousin says the iconic line that we've heard a bazillion times, I have to keep filming, people need to know.
Yeah.
And Koldo loses his shit.
Yeah.
Don't be stupid, knocks the camera and smashes it.
Yeah.
There's a transition.
Yeah, it's like my wedding's gone to this and you're still filming. People need to see this.
People will know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, this isn't important. I love that. And the fact that you would complain about that aspect, and to me it's like, are you high? It makes it better. It makes it different. We're going somewhere else. That's how I strongly feel in favour of this. To the point, if you came to me and said to me, I really don't like it, and my next words would be, why?
Yeah.
And if you didn't have a really good reason, I'd be like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on. Then it's like, oh no, it's not as realistic. I'd be like, well, what do you mean? It's still a movie, you know? And I'd want to break it down more.
Yeah.
I'd want it's not rubbish in your opinion, but I would want to understand why and it can't just be, oh, because it's not as realistic. Because then I'd be like, zombies, possession.
Yeah.
Like, why did it not lose you beforehand?
Yeah.
Why did this
point, yeah.
You know, I mean, why was it this point?
Yeah.
You know, that aspect.
So I've gone for, I didn't like the racist man in the first film.
This is the racist neighbour.
Yeah, I know that people might have said he's part of the why no one knows certain neighbours, which I guess is true in an apartment block. You wouldn't get everyone liking each other. but I just didn't like him.
Yeah, he's being filmed. Let's explain the scene. He's being filmed on camera, to explain, and he says he blames the Koreans upstairs.
Yeah.
And he says something about like funny food they eat and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, come on,
yeah,
guys.
he's just like, just really kind of bit of a jagged character. But I suppose in the sense of it that you have to kind of explain that not everyone in the apartment block is chummy, suburban neighbourhood. But I just didn't like his character.
Fair enough.
Kind of wasting a bit of time on him.
Stupid titles. Genesis and Apocalypse. Subtitles, so to speak. Neither are accurate or represent what the films are actually about. So I find them incredibly stupid. I think it should have been Rec 1, 2, 3 and 4. But instead he went Rec 3 Genesis. Genesis obviously implies start, beginning.
I thought it was more about the biblical.
Yes. But what is Genesis? The first book of the Bible?
Yeah. You could
No. It doesn't.
Okay.
A throwaway line about a dog is not where it began.
Yeah.
No.
Fair point.
This is not the whole 7 days God made the earth and stuff like that. This is not that stuff. Apocalypse. It's set on a boat with very few characters. Apocalypse. End of the world stuff.
Yeah, well,
no.
The parasite escaping at the end.
No. Absolutely not. No.
I'm right on that one.
No. I don't like these titles. I really don't.
Okay, my last one. I thought that you've probably mentioned a little bit on it before, but Rec 2 lost some of its creepiness. Everything is explained. A lot of horror. The creepiness is like things being kind of, you kind of learn yourself rather than going, here's all the information, take it as you will. Right, we've got to go on to the next scene now. Rather than you see things for the first time as everyone else sees them, rather than, oh, I've got an expert. Here's the expert to tell us it all. Yeah, it kind of lost its creepiness, really. Yeah,
Rec 2 wanted to have a specific, this is why we have an infection. This is why. And there's nothing wrong with that overall, you know. And obviously being a second film, you kind of couldn't just repeat what you did in the it's difficult because you kind of get why, but maybe it's just because we didn't love the explanation.
Yeah.
That's maybe what really why. Last but not least then, the first film's popularity, meant we got the worst kind of remake. A shot-for-shot remake in America called Quarantine, which is, to me, an utterly pointless endeavour, which basically screams, yeah, we're doing this for people who just don't want to read subtitles. Yeah. And it's like, fuck off. There are very few shot-for-shot remakes, thankfully. Quarantine is one, and of course Psycho is another. But shot-for-shot remakes. And I just conjure up this image of a director, and it can't even be that satisfying work, sitting there with Rec playing, watch, pause. Right, guys, do that.
Yeah.
Do that,
Exactly
but in
the same.
English. I mean, and that's the worst. The joke is, Quarantine isn't a bad film because it's a shot-for-shot remake. Yeah. And it would later go on to inspire its own sequel. It isn't Rec 2, its own sequel, Quarantine Terminal. I like Terminal more, even though it's a terrible movie. I like it more because it's an original idea, so to speak. It's still fucking zombies, but it's not a shot-for-shot remake. And that fucking sucks. Plus, Quarantine, obviously, famously, would be absurdly dumb by putting its ending on its front cover. Ridiculous shit. Absolutely. Just go watch Rec, please. You know, if you've never seen them, don't be like, oh, I don't really want to read subtitles. Don't be that person.
It's not overly. It's not like a sort of like a.
You don't get
French
subtitles and
romantic
screams.
film.
Do you know what I mean? Screams are universal. Roars, blood, screams. It's all universal.
Yeah.
You know, chill basically. Yeah, it's always going to be a bugbear of mine. But there you go. There's the 10 things we hate about the Rec franchise series to date. Let us know some of yours in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?